Alright, I am taking a second crack at infesting this suit. This was offered to me by Redstone Prof, and Waffle wanted me to take a look at it as well. I've noticed a few things that are interesting about this soup. It is not really geared towards predators. It's definitely geared more towards scavengers, and the way I discern that is let's take a look at the material parameters. Meat parameters, we have max conversion efficiency is 100. This is higher than base. But most importantly, minimum conversion efficiency is 1.5, which means that a bibite does not in fact lose energy when it collects a plant pellet. Plants only give energy. The decay has also been turned down to 0.01, which is half of what it normally is. And for my predator sims, I've been running this between 0.05 and 0.1. So 10 times what this currently is. Meat lasts for a very long time in this map. And we can see that showcased by going out here into the void, where we find a whole bunch of scavengers out here because there's a lot of low hazard meat just available out here. All they have to do is be able to survive. I'm not particularly a fan of that because it means that so much of what's happening in the soup is out in the void. And if you want predators, they have to be where the prey is, and the prey is in here. So I personally would increase the meat decay if I were to use this soup. Here's a Prog, just eating this. These are not super well evolved Progs. I made a lot of changes to them, and they're not. They've lost a little bit of their edge when it comes to hunting, but they are great at surviving. So the soup itself, we have two original inhabitants. We have the Shark 1, which is the prey, these guys here. And they have a very simple brain, 4 nodes. It's not a bad thing. They 373 egg laying cost. That's decent chunk. I wouldn't say that these things are rapid reproducers at all, which is showcased by the fact that they have a population of 63, 64. This one's out here starving, so I'm not going to keep looking at it. Oh, let's find an interesting one. Here's it's around things. That makes it more interesting. And so I'm going to see how long it takes for this one to reproduce here. We are currently at half an hour of age. And if I recall correctly, these things age very slowly. So this is a younger one, younger at 43 seconds, so almost a newborn. And it is a size factor of 1.02 out of 1.59 for maturity. And it's not really doing anything, so it's not going to mature fast enough for me to look at it. But that's the prey. Other interesting things to note about the prey is that they're maxed out on strength and defense. These things can take a hit and they can bite hard. They also pretty much live birth. Hatch takes less than just over a second, and then brood time is double that, which is a fairly high ratio actually of brood time to hatch time. Diet's 0, view radius. It's got a long, skinny cone shape that it uses for view because it's only 30, just about 34 degrees in front of it that it can see. And these guys swim backwards, right? Which is a great adaptation for prey because oftentimes predators will chase them from the back. And that's where the mouth is with its maxed out defense. Definitely not good for encouraging predators. That's enough of these guys. These are scavenger nomads. These are the nomads that Waffle built, but Redstone decided to cut part of their brain out that hunts. So they're just scavengers at this point. And currently population's at 59. I think it was over 60 when I first put the progs in. But these guys, they're just going to go look around for the meat after the shark ones die. Which is why they're all out here. So let's take a look at what the progs are doing. So progs have no shortage of meat. Another thing that I've noticed is that the pellets, when they combine, they bump into each other, they actually combine into a larger pellet, which is not great for progs because progs thrive on finding pools of pellets, right? Otherwise, they're all going to go after the same pellet, and that's how a lot of progs die. I have a hunch that these guys have a high red content. Yes, so high red content currently slows progs down when they see them. So I don't think we're going to get a lot of hunting in this particular map, and I really don't think progs are going to take over. Progs do very well as a scavenger, but they're not scavengers. They are meant to hunt. They will, however, only hunt when there is no meat available. I'm thinking about changing that soon. See, these things are going backwards instead of forwards when there is a target to attack. They should have theoretically attacked this guy, and I have a color red one. So this guy's maxed out on color. That's going to be a problem for progs in this color scheme. Let me see if I have a better prog for this. Prog Painter has been modified. I did have the, nope, the one I'm looking for is the Prog Painter, and I have a scav, which I am not going to use. Let's put the Pogo mod in here. This doesn't have any color differentiating. This does showcase that I kind of need to change what a prog's triggers are, because I want progs to be able to hop into a soup and start hunting. And having them slow down when they see red is going to be a problem, because there's high content of red in both of these particular bibites that you find in this soup. Well, so we do have an accidental hunt up there. I'm not really going to watch that. I want to see if these guys will actually... Okay, so that's also a thing that happens. I do notice progs biting the prey, and then the second prog often coming up and biting the first prog, which I don't have a fix yet for, so later. So this is the Pogo mod. This is going to be the better hunter of the two. Okay, so this one's got a meal, to say the least. And the single baby prog is going to kill this shark one, despite the fact that it has maxed out defense. It's just going to take a long time to do it. Not necessarily a bad thing for the prog, because that means the prog's going to get bigger. Maybe. Why is he not growthing? That's fine. Thing's dead. Now he is definitely growthing. So this prog's probably going to eat the entirety of that shark, and we'll see how big the shark one actually makes a single baby prog. It doesn't count. It skewed the data, but it doesn't count. We're going to go with it. This guy's probably going to lay an egg just off of a single shark, which is a good thing, because these guys aren't super populous. So the prog needs as much out of it as they can get. This is going to lay multiple eggs off this guy. Goodbye, little prog. Have good life. There's a second egg, and there is 1,400 energy in this guy. If he doesn't use any for growth, he is got it. Let's say he at least gets 5 eggs out of this, right? It's not going to be 10. This is the third egg. He's going to try to kill his baby. It still counts. It's still an egg. 4th egg. The meat pellet gets snagged by a scavenger, and the Prog says, no, that's mine. You cannot have it. I earned it. I killed the thing, and then he flies off into oblivion because nothing to bring him back. I wonder, real quick, so I have the blue pheromone here. The blue pheromone goes into this multiplier to talk about eggs. It goes into this Gaussian, which goes into this absolute, which goes into acceleration. So this is the version before I taught Progs how to circle blue pheromone. These guys, however, do circle blue pheromone, which means anytime you see these little blue sparkles, these guys are going to want to be there. Painter is the superior Prog, ultimately. It's just, it needs a little bit of tweaking in order to accomplish what I want. And I think what I need to do is just focus entirely on predation and hunting for a while with Progs, because they're already extremely energy efficient. And it's often easier for something that's super energy efficient to just go into pure scavenging mode, because it's safer. You don't die as often when you don't hunt. And that's a problem, because Progs aren't scavengers. Prog's never going to be scavengers. I'm not going to let them be scavengers. Who's oldest? This guy's oldest. Big, clunky, slow tank thing. I think that right there is exactly why they have such a high defense, because they're going to try to bonk each other, and they're going to bite each other hard. Notice that there's a lot more Progs in here, though. That's because there's only 10 scavengers left. Okay, so maybe spawning in 20 Progs with 2 different flavors was a bit too much for the scavengers. The first time that I tried to make this video, the scavengers lasted a little bit longer. I wasn't able to completely wipe them out, but they're doing okay. So I just kind of want to take a panel of where scavengers are at right now. We have this one kind of in the border zone. Deep Void, Southwest or West Island. Deep Void, West Island. Borderland, West Island. They really like West Island. It's probably because there's bigger chunks and less plants to run into. Despite the fact that plants are more nutritious in this soup, it's still far better to go for meat. Oh, here's a good example of what happens when a scavenger eats a plant. So if we're looking at the plant digestion in this particular soup, he's gaining at a rate of 1 energy per second, an efficiency of 3.5, which is horrible. It's basically just enough to keep the scavenger from plant poisoning. Notice that despite having a belly full, his energy is still going down. Plants are not enough to counteract the metabolism, so they'll still die on a plant-based diet. This Prog doesn't care. He's living his life. He's about to get eaten by a shark. Surprised it took that long for it to die. Oh, we're gonna watch this guy. No, he found the meat pellet. We got a whole bunch of prey over here in the southeast island. We have kind of a counterclockwise general rotation amongst them by the looks of it. They're going to search for food in a this way pattern. Prog doesn't care about the plants. Prog just wants the meat. There's meat in the plants, so the Prog is going to go for it. Did that hurt you? No. These guys have too much. I think these guys have too much defense for pellet shooting to work. So that's a thing that happens. Notice that the Prog had attached itself to this meat, and the meat actually had been grabbed, and then bumped into this meat and became part of this meat, so the Prog lost track of it. I think I'm not going to turn pellet merging on for future Progs, because once they get the meat, they should use it rather than having to continually chase it around. I just saw one of these scavengers pop this scavenger. Just shoot it across the map. I love it when that happens. So scavengers are making a comeback. There's a solid 23 of them here. You know, I get to watch them die again. There were other things that I noticed about this map that were a little odd to me. Let me see if I can find out what they were. Nah, I'm just gonna let it go. Open this back up. Scavenger's making a really good comeback. So we have Progs out here in Oblivion cleaning up this meat here. I'm gonna turn up meat decay because I don't necessarily want a whole ecosystem happening out here where it's not exactly entertaining to watch. And the way we do that is we go over here, go to meat decay, and I'm just gonna turn this to 0.05. It's not a big number change, but it makes a big difference. And what that does is it just, after meat is no longer fresh, see how it says state decaying, it just increases the amount of energy that decays per second. So we have 594.72. For some reason it is still not 594.72. Something's going on here. Decay's turned on. Perishable factor is 1.3. Something sus. This one's fresh, so it hasn't even started decaying yet. Fresh, fresh, fresh. 25, 30, 45. We don't want to watch meat decay. I'm going to watch meat decay and give you guys shark ones to look at. No, meat's not decaying at all. Curious. Oh, that's the wrong button. Ah. Well, that just reset it to default. Let's see what happens to 0.1. I want to see the meat go down. 25, 30, 45. It's still the same. What did you break? How did you break it? I wonder if it has something to do with plant merging, pellet merging. It's all right. Yeah. I'm gonna rewire these guys' brains. I want more hunting behavior. They've pretty much plateaued as far as survival and energy management goes, but also, you know, kind of their avoidance behavior. We don't need more avoidance behavior. We need quality hunting, and I'm not good at quality hunting. That's not necessarily my forte. I'm gonna get better at it real quick though. See, quality hunting, that wouldn't have happened. You wouldn't have kissed the tank. But we're at 19 minutes. I don't really see a reason to continue. It's kind of entertaining to watch these guys run around and grab food, but the progs are not going to destabilize this environment, right? This is going to keep going. They don't hunt enough to really take over. So I'm calling it. You guys have a great day.